Hey, Chris here from Cannibal Reviews and ThatDrunkAsshole.com, and today I will be reviewing this brand new Fright Night Blu-ray from the folks over at Eureka Video.
This is Peter Vincent, bringing you Fright Night Fever.
As you can see here, this is an all-region Blu-ray, so yes, this will play in North America. Those of you who are watching primarily to find out if you should upgrade and if this will work in your Blu-ray player, the answer is yes and yes. And as far as why should you upgrade, I'll get to that here in just a minute. Fright Night is part classic vampire tale. You have Jerry, he's immortal, he's Dracula-esque, he's slightly brooding, and he's out there looking for his lost love. On the exact opposite end of the spectrum, you have this sort of weird, quirky 80s comedy about Charlie. He's a teenager, he's going through puberty, he's really into Peter Vincent, and in a very sort of Hitchcockian twist to the story, he is spying on his new neighbor, who also happens to be the vampire. He enlists the help of Peter Vincent, and together they go out to try and defeat this vampire. So that part of the story is really where it hooked me. I saw this at a pretty young age, and I was really into Joe Bob Briggs and Monster Vision, and so one, the idea that there's possibly vampires and monsters out there was, you know, pretty real to me. I was pretty young. And two, the idea of possibly calling on a Joe Bob Briggs type character in order to help defeat said monsters, like that wasn't really outlandish to, you know, like a 10 or 11-year-old Chris. There's just so much to like about Fright Night. It has everything. It's got boobs, some real, some prosthetic. You've got your vampires, you've got your creature effects, you've got a little bit of gore sprinkled throughout. Peter Vincent, Roddy McDowall did a fantastic job playing Peter Vincent. He's eccentric, he hates his job, he seems to also really not appreciate Charlie's slight obsession with him. There's actually a Fright Night comic out there for those of you who do not know, and I mean, like, I love Peter Vincent. I also like Fright Night too. The idea that these two characters, Charlie and Peter, their adventures continue outside of the movieverse and in the comics, that's just such an awesome idea, because Peter Vincent's a really cool character. Who the hell wouldn't want to follow this guy on his exploits, right? So if it wasn't clear enough, I'm pretty crazy about Fright Night as a whole. I know that a majority of those of you watching this have probably already seen it time and time again, so I'll no longer waste your time with the synopsis. Let's get into the actual reason why you're watching this particular Blu-ray. Eureka has done a fantastic job with this release. Now, the previous transfers on the two Twilight releases weren't bad by any means, but really, you know, I thought what they were lacking was just a lot of the special features that we yearn for as, you know, fans of this particular movie. What really made me pull the trigger on this release was just the number of special features, because I did previously own the Twilight Time Blu-ray. Specifically though, this particular release has the fan-funded documentary You're So Cool Brewster, which is 2+ hours long, and literally any kind of question you might have about the making of Fright Night will be laid to rest. That was corny. Within this documentary. It is just extensive. And then you have a ton of other features. Just to sort of go through a few of them, we've got some new featurettes. What is Fright Night? Tom Holland writing horror. Roddy McDowall from Apes to Bats. There's a Fear Fest panel. You've got choice cuts with Tom Holland. You have an electronic press kit. There's just a ton of features on here. Trailers as well. It took me all day to just get through this particular release. If you are a fan of Fright Night, do yourself a favor. The picture quality is great, the sound is great, the extra features are extensive. You're So Cool Brewster is just a movie into itself, really. I mean, it's available by itself. The fact that they've included it as a special feature just makes this the ultimate Fright Night Blu-ray release, in my humble opinion. Now, I do want to mention that from what I have seen, there seems to be a steelbook of this version out there floating around, so for those of you who are really into the limited versions, you can track down that particular steelbook. So if you haven't seen Fright Night yet, what the fuck are you waiting for? This is not just one of the best vampire films of the 80s, it's one of the best horror films of the 80s. It's very tongue-in-cheek, it's very quirky, it's got scares as well. It's just an all-around fun, well-done movie. For those of you who are interested in possibly upgrading your DVD or upgrading the previous Blu-rays that were released here in the US, it's well worth it, trust me. Just the features alone make it well worth the double dip. As always, thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, be sure to leave a comment, leave a like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff, and as always, have a wonderful day.